So I assume that it's good. Evening, ladies and gents. Today we're doing part 2 of, of the actual course. Right. Actually, the third last part of it, so it's not quite a long course to it, but I'm pretty sure today you're going to take away some really good nuggets. Okay. I did have a different slide set up altogether. So I did have a different slide set up altogether, but due to some technical situation that I was going through, I had to improvise and just, well, basically start all over again and just get the information through to this one. But hopefully, you guys will be able to follow. Right, I won't go as fast as I did yesterday, and I'll try and explain things a bit more in detail. But also, questions can be held towards the end, like last night. Right, and I think we took about 30 minutes, just basic question and answer session, and hopefully we'll have more than enough time to do so today as well. Okay, now today mainly what we're going to be looking at is what super traders focus on, and the reason why we call them super traders is there's levels to every single thing that we do. Okay, there are people, okay, any sort of like sector, right? There's talk business just in general. There are companies that you know who are the major brands who are collecting most of the money, right? Making most of the revenue. And you have your smaller ones, sort of like in between, who actually make some decent profits, right? They do get like scares every now and then, but generally they do okay. And then you have the large majority of businesses that will go through some major financial issues and all of that stuff. So like in business in general, the same thing applies, the same rule applies in trading. Okay. I like to make reference to sport, especially because that's really one of the easiest examples that you can translate things to. Okay. Now, the biggest earners, there's names that we know of, even though I don't watch sports, right? There is no single sport that I can actually sit down and watch, but I do admire sports people because of the application that I use in the way that they think about what they do, their profession, their craft. Same exact principles will apply to someone who's becoming a trader, right? So there's elite traders, there's good traders, people who make decent profits, and then there's the average trader, right? Unfortunately, the type of industry you're in, being an average trader means you're actually losing money. Okay. Right. So now I've gone through, as I mentioned previously before, went through some interviews, right? A lot of well-known interviews. I just had some general interaction with some traders that I know, right? Spoke to them, took down notes, and generally just I started this probably like 6 months back, right? And just left it. But now I just decided just to bring it back up again because I do think that if you're going to have a successful career as a trader, you need to basically model what other people who are successful in the industry are actually doing, right? So with that said, these are some of the people. What mostly they said that came up, right? From professionals who like Paul Tudor Jones, Bill Lipschitz, your your Baldwin, all of these guys, like all these major players, George Soros, all these interviews, what they talk about and what they believe to be the traits that you need to become successful in trading, how they started and what were their pitfalls and downfalls from the beginning. And a lot of them managed, well, all of them managed to turn it around and how they did so specifically. Okay. Now, one of the most common traits that super traders, right? So there's two groups, like there's good traders, decent traders, like guys that I generally spoke to, they make some profits, right? They'd make anywhere between 10,000 rand a month, 30,000 rand a month, on average, right? There's no specific salary when it comes to trading, but these are the guys who are really good traders. And then you have like your super traders. All these guys have like outstanding performance. Okay. I couldn't get like real interviews with them. So I drafted off some information that I've got because I've practically have almost every market wizard book out there and I've read them like dozens of times. So you can just bear with me on this one. If I use some terms or some people that you're not aware of, you can just do a simple Google search later on. All right, now one of the most important things that they have is that they respect the markets. Okay, now a lot of people have a lot of different ways in which they express themselves when it comes to the market, killing the market or spanking the market or milking the market, or whatever the case may be. But when it comes to super traders, I mean, so generally they're very humble about the way in which they approach markets. They understand that the markets trading are a marketplace. They go to make money, right, and then they leave with the money, right? The main objective is to actually leave the money. So they have a certain level of respect for the market, not fear, not to be confused with fear, but a certain level of respect for the market. So they won't do certain things. Now they're not boastful, as I said. They don't call themselves like the pit legend or Forex, whatever, you know. So most of them, I'd say most like 99%, even the guys that I spoke to, very humble people. Okay. Oftentimes people who are boastful about some of the things that they do or they achieve when it comes to trading aren't used to them, you know. So if you're not used to making $1,000 in a single day, obviously when you do get to $1,000 each and every in one day, for example, then it's going to be something that you're going to get excited about. You're going to want to tell everyone. You're going to want to post on social media. But when it comes to a stage where you sort of like used to that sort of stuff, you don't really need to post. Okay. Now they're very professional. Okay. By that I mean very meticulous in every single detail regarding what they trade, what their performance is. So they have a different approach in trading altogether. You won't see them trading in restaurants. You won't see them trading in hotels, lying on beaches, and all of that stuff. They basically have a trading station that they go to each and every day, just like any other job, career, and they work from there. They ensure that they have all the necessary documentation in front of them when they start their trading day, and that is one of the most important things that can actually guide you. They stick to them. They have the emotional discipline to stick to. They focus on performance rather than outcome. Now, in a sport like this, right, even in almost in every other area in life, there is no level of certainty. There's a small level of certainty about something, but there's no guarantees, you know. So a pattern that might have paid you good money yesterday will show up today. It doesn't mean it's going to pay you money today. You might lose money trading the same exact pattern, same exact indicators lining up at the same exact areas, but the outcome will be different because there's different market participants. There's way too many people, and there's way too many um, I can say parties involved when it comes to the foreign exchange market and any other market. So the outcomes can't be the same. That's why same patterns will produce different results, okay, on a day in and day out basis. But over the long term, if the odds are in your favor, then all you need to do is apply proper risk control and risk reward ratios and that sort of stuff. Now, they realize that they can't control the outcome. Okay, so trying to do so is not wise. So trying to change certain things about the market, trying to force the market, trying to get the market to do what they want it to do is a losing proposition. There's no way you can get the market to do what you want it to do. There is no single individual or even market maker big enough for them to control the market. Okay, that is impossible. Right, there will be periods of time where you can hold that price at certain levels, right? But that requires a whole lot of money. Okay, even super traders don't have that money, and I'm talking guys who have like $4 billion under the management, $3 billion. I think the largest was like $15 billion under management, and so we're talking people with relatively large capital, but even they can't hold markets or push the market in one particular direction for infinity, right? Now they always have a long-term view regarding trading, right? Sort of like anyone who has or is looking to make a profession or a career out of something, they have this long-term view. Sort of like when you get into varsity, let's say you want to be a lawyer, for example, or let's say doctor, even better. You know that there's 7 years or whatever the prescribed amount of time is that you're going to be studying, you're going to be working as an intern and all of that stuff, and you're not really going to be making any big bucks during that time. But you know, generally, if you become a doctor, for example, let's say you start working at 28, and then 40 years later, you've got X amount of money saved up, and you're going to be earning money for the next 40 years. So it's the exact same premise when it comes to trading. If you're willing to sacrifice 3 years, for example, and then it's all right, I'm going to sacrifice this 3 years, then I know I got 30 more years or 25 more years to actually extract money from the market as well. So they have that type of view when it comes to trading. Now, they don't get excited about the money, right? So that's something that you don't see. Now, with the super traders, there is zero excitement when it comes to actually making money. The way in which they talk about the money that they make, it's sort of like points, right? It's points in a game, right? We scored this amount of points, we scored that amount of points. There's nothing really to brag about. It becomes more of a fun game endeavor, a very rewarding one, but that allows them not to think too much about the money when they actually lose money, because everyone does lose money. I don't care how super of a trader you are or how average of a trader you are, you're gonna make money and you're gonna lose money. Now, if you make money, right, and you get excited and you start thinking about all the things you're gonna buy, and then you lose the same amount of money, then you go into deep depression. It's sort of like called the elastic effect or something like that. So when you experience extreme highs when it comes to trading, get super excited about making money, you're going to experience extreme lows, which means you're going to get depressed when you start losing money. Now, they understand probability and the uncertainty of the market, so there is no guarantee of any single trade idea, any single indicator, or whatever you may pick up. There's no single trade that you can guarantee will go a certain way. There is just no way of knowing that, because one transaction, okay, one pattern might play out, and then you do the same thing for the next 6 months, for example, and the trade pays out money each and every day for the past 6 months, and then you trade the same pattern today, and it doesn't make money. Right? Now, there could be variables that could have changed that. Right? Remember that there's large institutions. Let's say the institution that was usually helping to push the market up at that particular price level, they're no longer trading that method anymore. Okay, they have a different algorithm looking for buy and sell opportunities. So it becomes a very different type of ball game. And then now the market needs to adjust to that, which is why usually trading strategies don't work forever. Right? It might be extremely effective in the beginning, but as time goes by, it becomes less effective. And sometimes a very average strategy might become a bit more effective over time, because there's different market participants and variables that come into play. Yeah. Now, one of the ways that they trade is that they have this sort of way of thinking that really says there's a million ways to skin a cat. Yeah. There's no particular right way or wrong way to trade. There's no one way to actually make money. People who are closed regarding that usually aren't super traders who say, no, this is the only way to make money, or that's the only way to make money. If you're not trading like me, then you're not making money, or you're not going to make money. That's really just garbage. Anyone who tells you that is probably trying to sell you something. But there are a million ways to actually skin a cat. If you want to say, all right, I will make money, but I'm going to use a different approach from what Anele says, okay, you can probably make money doing that. Okay. And if you say, no, I'm not going to use what he uses, indicators, systems, or anything like that, you're probably going to be able to make money using that. And the only way for you to actually find out is to take the time and to dedicate a lot of money as well. Okay? Because the only difference is if you have someone, or if you have a system that's working, or if you have someone that's actually doing what you're doing already, it sort of like gives you that roadmap where you're not looking for direction and wasting a lot of years. So some people spend a lot of years like trying to figure out how this whole trading thing works, and in turn miss out on making some money during that time, and also spend a lot of money investing in trading accounts, new strategies, all of that stuff. So it tallies up to sort of like a double whammy, right? Missed trading opportunities, and the missed opportunity to make money, and the amount of money that you actually spend trying to figure it out. But the most important one has to be the time that you're going to spend and lose but there really are different ways for you to actually approach the market. So no one trading strategy, for example, will work forever. No trading system will work forever. That's why we constantly need to tweak, constantly need to find new trading edges. Right. They always treat trading as a competition. As much as people say that no, the market is not a place where we all hold hands and we all walk to the end result. It's a zero-sum game, where it's a minus-sum game to some extent. So what happens is you're not in this game alone. Right? It's survival of the fittest type of environment, and you just have to be an inch more effective than everyone else for you to actually make the big bucks. It's sort of like horse racing, right? Or golf, where you get paid 10 million for being fraction 1% better than the second place, and then second place gets $2 million. First place gets $10 million. Right? That's a huge sum of money, but it's only just a fraction better than everyone else. Right, finding edges is a day-to-day endeavor. Right, so they're always looking for something to improve on what they have already. Now it's different from chart watching and just 10,000 hour rule type of stuff, but we'll get into that a bit later. They're always very open-minded, okay, which means they don't dismiss certain things right off the bat. So if you're talking to them and they say, right, I have this new strategy that does this, this, and that, right? Obviously, it has to be within like sort of like some reasonable sense. Most of them won't say, right, no, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, or that doesn't work. So it's always sort of like an open mind. So you have to really apply that in your trading as well, right? Don't let everything filter through. You just need to use common sense and like your reasoning for most things. Right, they prefer to specialize in a few markets, right? Most trade about less than 6 markets. There are very few that trade just one single market, but obviously as the accounts get bigger and the money that they manage gets larger, they have to include a lot of different markets, and they get other traders to come in and join them and stuff like that. But generally, as a small retail trader, they're gonna have a specific sphere. They don't go out and trade the euro dollar or the euro Australian dollar because they saw someone's chart on Facebook or Instagram, whatever the case may be, and they're like, okay, yeah, this is nice. They always have specific markets that they trade. They stick to those markets, and everything else outside of those markets is sort of like not their speciality, right? Like a doctor trying to become professional soccer player over the weekend. Yeah, probably not going to happen. So they just try to stick within their their space, their speciality. Now they're not loyal to any single market as long as they have tested the strategy. Now, if the market or strategy has become ineffective in certain markets as time that usually happens. So a strategy where, for example, there were trading systems around, I think it was 2010, 2012, okay? Wasn't around then in the market, but during that specific time, it they were trading during the Asian session. And now during the Asian session, spreads used to be tight, okay? And because there was a lot of competition for market makers for your business and stuff like that. So price feeds are really good. So what happens is, since a lot of the time the Asian markets is very quiet, it's relatively quiet, there were trading systems that would actually scalp during that time, right? They were making like 100% a week, 1,000% a week. So it was actually quite crazy. I think one of them is called Fat Turbo, something along those lines. And what happened then after, right? After some time, a lot of people joined in and specific funds tried to exploit that. And then obviously the market makers started to increase spreads around the time. And Fat Turbo really doesn't work anymore, right? It's becoming ineffective. So it's not wise for you to stay loyal to something that isn't working. They do have the flexibility to say, right, on the euro dollar, my system isn't working as effectively as it used to, so I can switch it over to the pound, provided that you've done the proper practice. Okay, now for most trading, they started in mid 20s and early 30s. Okay, I think one of the oldest ones was can't quite remember, but I think the guy was like 33 years old when he actually placed his first trade. But by the time he had, I think it was 43 or 44, something along those lines, he had like a couple of millions, right, US dollars. I think more than 15 million US dollars in actual net worth. No, in trading profits, I mean. So it's basically not a matter of how early you start, or because some guys start extremely early. Right? Some guys would start at 20 years old, which is relatively young for a person to go through that route. I do remember that a lot of these guys started off in the financial industry, right? So they went after college, they went into Wall Street, worked at professional funds. So that's why age gap is the way that it is. But I mean, at any age, you can start off trading. Almost all, but one never made money within the first couple of accounts that they actually traded. Right. So on my account with all of these guys, I mean, only one made money from the get go and continued making money and is still making money to this day. Right. Now that's very rare because in most cases, people are not going to start off and make money initially. Probably going to be losing money. Majority of the people lose money. But if you start off and you at break even, right, that really is a good sign. Right? So you're not making money, you're not losing money. It's your $100 account. After 3 months of trading, it's still $102 or $103, for example. That is a really good sign that you're doing a lot of things right. And with enough refinement and enough time dedicated to improving your skills, you will be at the top of your field. Right. Now, most started seeing results after 4 years of stress, almost losing it all a few times, and a few became successful in less than 2 years. Okay. Now, I do know personally people who've been trading for 9 years who still haven't got the hang of this whole trading thing. And they still continue to trade. I mean, there was a guy I saw, like, he's been trading for over 10 years now, and he's lost, I think, over 500,000 Australian dollars, something along those lines. And it's on one of these forums, but it's very easy to see why he's in that position, okay, because of the way he thinks. And I knew even if he didn't show me any statements or anything like that beforehand, I would have guessed that he's really not going to be a successful trader anytime soon. Okay. Now, super traders mostly come from bank and other professional settings. Okay. Very few of them come from just out of school, for example, and just started off trading. Now, this gives an added advantage because they have someone to actually show them the ropes. Where if you're trying to figure this whole thing out by yourself, it's very difficult to do so because you don't have that guiding hand at showing you. Because if you're trading with someone right next to you, most likely you're not going to be making the type of silly mistakes that you usually make, right? As opposed to you trading by yourself, you know, day you don't feel like it, you're slacking off. But if you're at work and you're required to actually come in each and every day and make those trades, otherwise you don't get paid or you're going to get sacked, then you're going to come in. There's a risk manager there that you can talk to. There's a technical analyst to help you out with analysis. So it's a really comfortable place to be in. Okay. But it doesn't mean that as a retail trader coming in by yourself can't make it work. Now, the average trading account of super traders is actually around $20,000, okay, which was not that surprising. With less than about 5% starting with less than $1,000 and going on to make $1 million. I think one of the biggest or the most famous ones is actually Richard Dennis. Okay, some reports it was $400 turned it into $80 million. Another report said it was $3,000. He turned that into over close to $100,000 within, I think, about a decade or so. So those are the extreme cases, like the super traders, guys who are really committed to what they're doing. So with that being said, obviously it's very nice to have a $20,000 trading account, but not everyone has $20,000 lying around. So the amount of work and dedication that you're going to have to put in will have to be significantly more than most other people. I know most of the super traders had someone trading with them and showing them the ropes, like I mentioned before. and almost 98% never depended on trading as their main source of income for the first couple of years. Now, if you're struggling for 4 years or 2 years or 3 years to make trading work, obviously you need an alternative source of income to pay your bills and all of that stuff. Right. Now, what that does, firstly, it alleviates a lot of pressure from you. And secondly, if it allows you to actually put more time, effort, money, and dedication towards your improving your craft. Now, if you have to make money from trading immediately the first month or first 2 months that you get into trading, really probably not going to work, because the added pressure of you having to make those will mean you have to take trades that you don't really want to take, trades that aren't ideally the type of trades that you're going to be taking, and you're going to have very little patience when the market isn't moving and you're going to start doing things that really aren't in your best interest. Okay. All right. Everyone good? Okay. Now, basically divided some of the stuff that a lot of these guys do on a day-to-day basis and what they choose to focus on. Now, the 80-20 principle basically translates, I think it's Pareto principle, translates into 80% of your results, okay, come from 20% of your activities. Okay. So the small things, or the 20% of the things that you are doing, actually just contribute to 80% of your results. So if you were to take those few activities and spend more time in them, or more time doing that, then you'd basically achieve much more greater results. But the thing is, in most cases, traders are ineffective. They think they're effective, they think they're learning, but they're really not. So they focus on the wrong things and therefore get negative results. And for me, obviously, and most other traders, they had to choose between strategy and psychology. They would basically choose the psychology part of it. Okay, because psychology does play a major role in trading. It plays a major role in development as a person, in business, in sports especially as well, because you can learn how to score a penalty, right? You can shoot like 10 million penalties, and just you and the goalkeeper, for example, in soccer, right? But you change the scenario now and say, okay, this is the final, this is the last couple of seconds of the game. Everyone's looking. It's a World Cup. It's your last World Cup that you're going to be playing. It's a retirement game, and then now all of this added pressure, and there's crowd. It's packed, and all of that. That adds another layer of stress. So you have to be able to handle that psychological stress. Now, spending 10,000 hours watching charts does not make you a great trader. I've already mentioned that in last night's session. Aimlessly watching charts does not help you in anything good. It has to be something that's well directed, right, into improving a certain skill set, right? So when you're watching charts, just sitting there looking at the market and just drawing random trend lines every now and then does not make you a good trader. It doesn't improve your skill. It has to be something that initially improves the skill. So best thing I would say is write down skills that are required for you to become successful. Well, for example, execution. Okay, because that encompasses trading as a whole, or analysis, right? Trading psychology. Right. And then you say, all right now I'm doing this, I'm improving this skill, I'm improving my analysis skill. You do that for an hour. I'm improving my trading psychology. How do you do that? You basically take, okay, so how do you do that? You basically take a few things that would improve your trading psychology, like the books, right? Like the notes, like videos that you watch that have to do with trading psychology. And then you focus that hour around that. Now that is being much more constructive. And if you were to spend doing that 10,000 hours, okay, that would be an incredible improvement on your skill, right? You'd actually skyrocket. Now, there are a few people who focus on 80% of their time on the mental state. My guess would be about 6 to 10%, which is obviously estimated amount of people who become consistent in trading. Now, consistent profits are only possible through continued work on your mental state. You have to be in a good state of mind. If you're not, then it's going to be very difficult for you to execute and perform at a very high level. Okay. Now, there's no real need for you to start over and ingest the same technical information again. A lot of people say, no, I want to start over from the beginning, right? I want to learn how to trade again. No, you're starting over and over and over again. You really don't need to do that. Only thing is the bad habits that you already have are the ones that are actually holding you back. So you have to develop new positive habits that will lead you towards what you're supposed to become. Because if you can behave in a certain way when it comes to the market, if you were always on time, right? You're always on time. If you always had this way of doing things, and if you always looked at your trading plan, if you always did your analysis on time, if you always spent enough time on your analysis, if you always had your journal with you, if you always reviewed your trades, okay, I'm pretty sure that you'd experience a significant increase in your performance, in the amount of money you make, in the way, in the ease at which trading goes. Right? Because at some stage, trading becomes very, I can say easy. I hate using the word easy, but it's not stressful. It's not like you're fighting anymore. Right? It's something that happens, and I don't know how to explain it. It's like playing soccer. You know? At some stage, you become good at it, and your reflexes are really incredible. So you don't need to think a lot about it. Okay. Right. So now 80% of trading, understanding probabilities. Okay. Now, second part, all right, we'll just skip through to the point number 4. Back testing is for confidence. Now, a lot of these traders that I spoke to, they did an extensive amount of back testing. One of them, in one of the interviews I was checking out as well, is they spent 4 years before they actually took their first trade, right? Before they even got involved in trading, they did research, they spent time doing chart markups and all that stuff, seeing if they really do have an edge. And they did that for 4 years. And then only on the 5th year, they actually opened up an account and then they started trading, which was an incredible amount of patience, which most of us don't have, admittedly. But it did work out because when you have the knowledge that your system that you're working with actually is really good, then it becomes so much easier for you to actually execute it. Now, realizing that trading, as much as people don't like this, is professionalized gambling, and that there's no guaranteed in the market. Okay. Uh, when I say professionalized gambling, people always think, no, it's not gambling. A lot of people will fight with me on social media when it starts saying that. But what this basically means is every single thing that you do in life is a gamble, right? Walking out your house is a gamble, right? Is gambling with your life. Waking up is a gamble. Taking your kids to school is a gamble. So there's really no guarantees of what the actual outcomes will be in life. So when you say professionalized gambling, all I mean to say is because there's people who actually make a lot of money becoming gambling, right? There's people who are professional poker players. Now, what you need to do is once you understand probability, you become like a professional gambler. You become like the casino instead of the guy who comes in just tries and throws luck, because there is really no specific way for you to redirect luck. But if you have odds in your favor that, okay, if I do this over the next 10 times or 40 times or 30 times, I will get most likely this type of outcome, then you have an edge. Okay. So never sit, as I usually say, like you're sitting with professional poker players and you've never played poker before. Right. You're gonna get creamed each and every time. You're gonna get your money cleaned out, which is why casinos make so much money. Casinos make so much money because people think it's a random thing, and people who count cards. Right. There's a book you can go out and get, or you can check out, which is Beat the Dealer by Ed Thorpe. Okay. Also one of the super traders in Market Wizard. But they counted cards, him and his friends. So they made some incredible amount of money. But obviously, the casino would ban you because you're taking money from them. Okay. Now, they treat trading as a professional game and focus on the moment, right? Like I said, it's always about improving one particular skill set at a time. Expect every single trade to be a losing trade to avoid attachment to a single position, right? So if you have the notion that, okay, the trade that I'm placing now most likely could be a losing trade, right? Will I be okay if I lose money on this trade? If the answer is yes, then go in and take the trade. But if the answer is no, then you're probably either risking too much or the trade is not the ideal type of setup that you want. Okay. All right, you guys are good. All right, seems like today we have less time. I have a time restriction, about 3 minutes left in this session. All right, I think we went by too fast. Okay, you guys have any questions? I like some of your questions. All right, so either case then, for the advanced guys, we'll be doing, I think I mentioned earlier that, okay, right, guys can shoot your questions now. We have about 2 minutes, 3 minutes left in this session. Okay. Right, for the advanced guys, we'll just be doing some basic technical um, analysis tips. Okay. Going through the 5 minute strategy using the template and all of that stuff. So we're gonna do that regular time though, right? 8:30 p.m. So as soon as we're done with this, then you guys know what to do. I'll shoot you through the code once you send me a message in Telegram. Okay. All right. I have recorded this. But I didn't record last night's session, unfortunately. So what I'll do, I will just upload this and you can have a copy of it. I'll send you through the link and then you can just go in and watch it over and over again. Whoever you want to share it with, feel free to do so. I'll also post some resources as well within the group that relate to this. And I think there's a really good podcast that you guys can listen to, which has a lot more trader interviews. And just by listening to those on a day-to-day basis, probably when you're going to work, in your car, you know, when you're at the gym, all of that stuff, you can just pop those in. Okay. Well, trading, as is anything else, is professionalized gambling. There's no guarantees in trading that one particular trade will work out and will not work out. So the only thing that you focus on is improving the odds in your favor and just leveraging those each and every time. All right. It just sort of like detaches the whole attachment to trying to win each and every trade. That's all. All right. Because even professional gamblers make a heck of a lot of money, but obviously they're not liked particularly by the casino. But that's a basic contention. You have to have the odds in your favor that you're going to win, and you have to exploit that edge as fast as humanly possible, and then find new edges and then just focus on those. Doesn't mean that it's you you can't be consistent. You can be consistent on an extremely positive level, but it's just that you